Hey everybody, welcome to Geeks of Honor. Today we're going to be talking about the DJI Air 3 and the latest leaks which have come out on this drone. It's been a bit of a long week of leaks already, hasn't it? So thank you very much for joining us, everybody in the live audience. I really appreciate you taking the time out of the day. Slightly different time for us to be streaming, so I see we're getting a few more of the Australian crowd in as well. So big shout out to Trevor Fuss and Northside Hot Dom, and hi Mike Drennan, good to see you as well. So today it's going to be another one of our quick shows like last night's one, talking about the Mini 4 and a few of the other bits and pieces of the leaks. If you missed that video, do go back and give it another look. But today, I'm used to streaming at night. Today, we're going to be talking about what we know about the DJI Air 3. There have been some retail leaks, as is always the case. And, you know, I call these leaks because it is technically a leak, but it is the same linear path, the same, I would say curve that happens in terms of information coming out just before we start seeing a drone announced and released. Now, we have a DJI sale ending on the 30th, so I would expect us to start seeing some of the information in terms of their little teasers and that type of thing for the release fairly soon. That's, again, obviously in my humble opinion, basically. So today we are going to be running through what we know. First of all, we're going to run through what we know about the specs and some of the information that the retail leaks have given us. Then we're going to take a look at the plethora of leaked images that we have and have a look at some of the information that might tell us. But then we're also going to be showing, first of all, some of the actual information that we know from that, including, interestingly, some of the prices. About 3 of the SKUs were leaked here in the UK. So first up, we have confirmation that there is a new camera system with 2 sensors. It does not appear to be a Hasselblad setup because there is no logo on the camera, as you would expect, as there is with the Mavic 3 Pro, etc. So that's the first thing. We have confirmation that there are 2 sensors. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly what specs that those cameras come in at. The RC2 controller has a larger screen. It now has external antennas. And they've also changed the ports at the bottom, so the closest side as you're holding and controlling the drone. So they've changed those ports as well. So the RC2 seems to have gone through a bit of an update, which again we'll be able to see when we move on to the pictures. I think that some of that will also be to do with the fact that there have been some issues. Some people have had issues in terms of transmission. The RC2 kind of went through a slight roller coaster of a time of acceptance when it was first launched. There was obviously a lot of excitement about having a cheap, it's around £250 here in the UK, a cheap built-in screen controller which could control many of the aircraft. But of course, then people started to have issues in terms of transmission and that type of thing. And I think that we, as a drone community, we kind of settled on the fact that it was good value for money, basically. So I think everybody was accepting of its specs, but certainly looking at some of the changes they've made, I think we're all going to be quite excited there. In terms of the battery, it's a new larger battery. It's a 4241 mAh, 62.6 watt hours battery. Now, we have no information so far in terms of the battery versions and if there's going to be different battery versions and therefore give us a different type of weight. And we have no information on the weight yet, but that is, I'm sure, very, very, very soon to leak, frankly. Packages, it appears so far on the retail leaks to be no drone-only package shown. The smallest package seems to be packaged with the new RC-N2, literally just the drone and the controller itself. So that's an interesting one. And now onto one of the most important parts. I'm trying to keep this stream short, so I apologize if I'm getting this information across to you particularly quickly. But yes, because we have spoken about the leaks before, I don't want to drag this out. The UK Amazon have actually leaked some pricing, 3 of the planned SKUs. The DJI Air 3 with the RC-N2. I just had an alert come up there. 3 of the planned SKUs, the DJI Air 3 with the RC-N2, which is actually at £962, which is 1115 euros. There's a Fly More combo with the new RC2, which is 1199, and that's at 1389 euros. And a Fly More combo with the RC-N2, which is 1379 at 1597. How do you feel about those prices, people? Let me know in the chat, the live chat, what you think. This information, by the way, is coming from Ruland over at winfuture.de, which is a German website. There is a link in the description across to the original page. It is in German, but we've obviously used the wonderful world of Translate to get this information across. And then also there are a couple of things I disagree with, because he's, in my opinion, got it wrong in terms of some of what the packages and pictures are. So I'm interpreting my own sort of input into it, which of course you have to do with any kind of leaks. Okay, so without further ado, let's get on and have a look at the pictures, shall we? So we have the retail pictures for the first time. And here you can see the base package, which has the RC-N2. Obviously, in terms of how that controller looks very, very similar to the existing controller. So whether or not that actually is the new controller or not, who knows? We'll have to wait and see when it gets released. But you can clearly see the two sensor setup there on the front of the Air 3. I think again, it does, the look of the drone itself, in my opinion, it does look like an Air series drone. I think you can see the characteristics in terms of design, etc. This is one of the combo packages, so this will obviously have the 3 batteries, the battery, the multi-battery charger there, which is interesting. Obviously spare props as usual. Again, I have to say I'm happier with the modern gimbal guards that they've been providing. The whole sort of Bane mask looking gimbal guard that we had on the Mavic 3 seems to no longer be the choice. But then we have a very cool looking bag, looks very similar to the style, the fabric quality style that we had with the Mavic 3 releases as well. And of course there you see the RC2 for the first time, and as I'm sure everybody is spotting, as well as the bottom being slightly different and the larger screen, we have some external antennas there on the top, which again, pretty exciting, isn't it? And then the other Fly More combo, as you would expect with the standard, in inverted commas, controller there, but otherwise everything else is the same. This shot, which is the RC2 bundle, actually shows a little bit more in terms of the drone itself. We can really see clearly here those two sensors. Obviously, we're going to, as you can see there, we're going to have a high quality cinematic sensor and a setup for a telephoto lens there as well. Again, it looks like we've got a slightly different gimbal setup, but this does feel like it might be replacing essentially what was the original Mavic 3 for me personally. But again, it looks a little bit more solid than those original leak photos. I don't know how you guys feel. I was a little bit concerned that it looked a little bit fragile, because obviously they're going for large props, thin arms, trying to get the noise and the weight down. And yeah, it's an interesting design. And there it is again with the RC-N2 controller. And here we have one in flight. Now, obviously, so many of these pictures, the same as the car industry, so many of these pictures are actually based on computer models rather than the physical drone itself. But of course, it gives us 100% accuracy as far as how it's actually going to look. Next up, we have a top-down shot, which is, again, I think shows that it is a bit different. It's obviously going to be smaller than the Mavic 3 series, of course, otherwise why on earth would they release it? But again, it shows those very thin arms and very large propellers, which has been the real trend in terms of these foldable Mavics recently. Another shot of it in flight, and this one is just from below a little bit more. We start to see a bit more in terms of the downward-facing sensors there, and also just the general build of the drone. I mean, it looks quality. It has to be said. I mean, it will be no shock to any of us when this drone is released and it has that same DJI Mavic feel and quality. It's going to be interesting to see which market this drone ends up being popular with. In terms of the UK, if we don't have a reduced battery size and therefore a sub 500 gram version, which, looking at that chunky gimbal, Not sure. It's going to have limited sales because, of course, you can only really fly it anywhere in terms of congested areas with an operational authorization or an A2 CFC. The A2 CFC, in terms of recreational hobby flyers, you're going to have that 50-meter separation still. So that's going to be interesting to see how it fits over here in the UK. I'm very interested, but mainly because I fly my Air 2S a lot, and I think this will give me a very nice bump in terms of the camera. Another shot from below, again showing a lot of the sensors, again showing how the gimbal is cradled in there at the front, which I think is really an interesting shot. The obligatory folded shot to show just how small it is. You can see the props are actually just tucked in there behind the little divots in the body. Obviously, that's all designed to ensure that it can tuck away as small as possible. Little top-down shot without the props on. And here's the battery. So again, exactly what we saw in the leaks in terms of the battery that was in the footwell of the car. Multi-charger, not sure what much I can say about a multi-charger apart from the fact that it's good to see that there is one with the Fly More combo. And here it is. Here is the RC2. Now, this will be exciting to anybody, even if you're not necessarily interested in this drone, that this controller has been updated. Of course, we now have external antennas. The screen's a bit bigger. We have some changes to the design at the bottom as well. And it looks to be a healthy update, basically, a healthy iteration from the previous model. And I think this could be actually very, very popular with a lot of people. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments below what you think of that as well. And then we have another static shot of the Air 3 and the wonderful usual marketing shot, which I expect to be appearing everywhere, of that sort of glossy reflection shot that we're so used to seeing with the DJI releases these days. And again, we get a good look at the RC2 with those very, very nice antennas there as well. So whilst I'm just running through these again and showing you exactly what these pictures are showing, I'm going to look at the chat as well and try and multitask, shall we? Now, my other half tells me I'm good at multitasking, but let's see. So Ronald Wilson, looks great. When I upgrade my Air 2S, I should be very happy. Hopefully Christmas time. Very nice. Kai, good to see you. Sure works with the new glasses and motion controller. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure if it doesn't on launch, it will very, very soon. Graham. Hi, Graham. Good to see you. Do remember to join myself and Graham. It's already listed. There's a live stream tomorrow evening at just after 8 o'clock here in the UK, where we're talking about the UK CAA's look at the lower airspace and the future of it and how that might affect your drone. It's going to be a really, really interesting stream, that one. Nick Sanders, hi Nick, good to see you, one of our Discord members. Power button lights on the battery, unlike the Mini S. Yep. Unlike the minis, sorry, yes, absolutely. Kai also says, I love the new multi-charger over the old one. This has been so flimsy to hold the batteries. Yeah, it does look chunky, doesn't it? And I think the shape and the design of the batteries also helps that this can actually be a slightly chunkier one. Why should the Fly More with RC-N2 be more expensive than the one with the RC2? Yeah, there is some debate over the names and which models are which again, I didn't spend too much time on because I think that we won't have that information until the final release or until the final retail leaks, which I would expect in the next few days. Russell, here for the latest news. Excited for the Air 3. I've been exercising my pointer finger in preparation to click the buy now button. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, Russell. It's something that I want to resist. Well, I used to resist. I used to say, hey, I don't need another drone. Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I run a drone YouTube channel. I run a drone business. I'm an active recreational flyer more than anything else. And, you know, I love drones. So it is. I also, as you've seen with our previous Air 3 leaks video, I showed the other 3 previous Air Series drones that I still own. So it's a series that I really, really enjoy flying. I think it gives a lot of value for money as well, basically. Lindsay Hayes, good to see you, Lindsay. Sneaking a look at Geeksvana, Mike Drennan, etc. It's good to see you all. So yes, so there we go. So Burok is saying no omnidirectional sensor and active cooling. Yeah, I think that we still at a stage where with this drone, they are going to have to keep the weight to a level to be C1. They are obviously packing an awful lot of technology in there. So there's always going to be a limit to what it can do. And we had that with the Air 2S. The Air 2S had its limits, but then it has that amazing camera, and the camera is really, and I think it flies better personally than the Mavic 3, but anyway, but the camera really was its unique, its USP, and it had a very, very good camera for such a small, affordable drone, and I think that might be where they're heading with the Air 3 as well, personally, so it should be interesting. Gary Sullivan, flight time, hang on 1 second, I will come back to once I've just shown through these pictures. There we go. I will just come back to me here, and we'll talk about battery very quickly again. And the information we have on the battery is that it's a 4241 mAh battery, 62.6 watt hours. No information on the weight, or if there's going to be battery versions this time. So in terms of flight time, you could probably expect them to advertise there's going to be more flight time, but whether that actually transpires or not, we'll have to wait and see. So there we go. There we have it. That is the DJI Air 3, all of the information that we hold at the moment on a nice quick live stream so that you don't have to spend a couple of hours to try and get the information. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. We will keep you informed of anything else substantial that comes up. We're going to see quite a few more leaks. Now, we do also post things across on Twitter. We also post things across on our community tab, so keep an eye on both of those on the channel, which is where we put the smaller type of information that we get up, because I'm obviously not going to do a live stream or a video every single time we get tiny bits of information, but we will certainly update this story once we get anything more substantial. So there we go. Thank you very much again for joining us on Geeksvana, and I will see you next time, which will be tomorrow evening with Graham for the Lower Airspace CAA Future Plans live stream, which I'm really looking forward to. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.